When it comes to mega budget TV shows, the stories themselves don't matter. The characters don't matter. You and your personal emotional connection to those stories and characters don't matter. You know what does? Ratings. Viewership, statistics, and ratings matter. Why is that? And what does this have to do with Rings of Power? Well, you see, Amazon made the investment, putting up around $1 billion to acquire the rights to create the Rings of Power show. And if we really want to get technical, we can consider the $8.5 billion investment they made into acquiring MGM a piece of this puzzle, because Rings of Power is produced through the MGM part of the company. So right now, we're well over $1 billion of investment into making this Rings of Power show. Amazon has put up money to make a product to sell back to you in the form of viewership ratings and membership subscriptions. Rings of Power, in its current state, is not making Amazon a dime, because Rings of Power is a complete failure. Hello, my friends, and welcome to The Pondering. I am the real-life fake wizard. If this video brings you any value at all, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, where we're posting new videos nearly every day, and we really are hitting almost every day. It's very hard for some people to handle the fact that the media they're using to define their entire personalities keeps collapsing, and that big businesses above the media we consume only make that media to generate profit off of its viewers. Right now, there are people who've devoted their entire personalities, however degenerate it may be, to begging Disney to make a second season of Star Wars: The Acolyte. The Acolyte cost $180 million to make, was created and showrun by former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein, and didn't see nearly enough viewership in the ratings to warrant a continuation into a season 2. This has contributed to ongoing smear campaigns between content creators and consumers alike, all because Disney pulled the plug on a show that a minority of people used to express themselves in sexually perverse and morally bankrupt ways on Twitter X. Well, what does that have to do with Rings of Power? Rings of Power might be in the exact same boat. Rings of Power has similar audiences because the shows are written and styled very similarly. Rings of Power has lost more than half of its audience. Rings of Power is not making Amazon any money, just like The Acolyte didn't make Disney a dime. Rings of Power has polarized its audience, just like Star Wars has. The show was made with one particular audience in mind, fracturing the entire marketplace, let's say. The show itself was made with an audience in mind that actually fractures the entire marketplace, let's say. Instead of making a product that was interesting and welcoming to a wide audience, it's catered itself to a very small piece of the internet that's virtually rejected by the majority of possible viewers. Well, what are these numbers? How grim does it look? According to Samba TV data, the 1.8 million US households watched the premiere of Season 1 within 4 days of its launch on Prime Video. Season 2 is half of that, with just 902,000 US households tuning in for the first episode within 5 days of its streaming debut. Worse than that, Season 1 on its own witnessed a 63% decline in viewership in just that season. Between episodes 1 and 8 of the season, 63% of viewers just stopped watching. Okay, so you say 1.8 million people watching or 902,000 people watching. Those sound like crazy awesome numbers still. Like, those are lots and lots of people, no? Sure, that's a lot of people. But House of the Dragon Season 2 is pulling in 7.8 million households for its episode 1 premiere. That's a difference of many, many millions of viewers. Now, I said it's all about money, right? How is HBO making money on House of the Dragon? Firstly, HBO Max subscriptions. We don't have definitive signups, but we did see HBO Max's subscription price increase immediately before Season 2 premiered. Just a coincidence, right? House of the Dragon is also airing on cable at the same time it premieres on HBO Max, so they're still getting regular cable subscription payments. Amazon's Rings of Power requires an Amazon Prime account or a Prime Video subscription, which means you buy stuff on Amazon and already have a Prime account, or you can get just Prime Video for $8.99 a month. Cha-ching. Now, the idea here is to get users on Amazon paying in some form to warrant the investment of $1 billion to the Tolkien family with the intent on having it produce a return on investment, or ROI. I have this gut feeling that people on Twitter X don't actually understand this piece. Shows and movies and media are not made for the sake of making you feel all warm and fuzzy. It's just a great byproduct if it happens along the way. It's exclusively about money and creating products that are good enough to warrant making money. That's the harsh reality. The Acolyte didn't make any money or generate new users, but also neither did many of the other programs on Disney+. Majority of the Marvel shows didn't get a second season. Many of the Star Wars shows didn't get a second season, not because they're good or bad, but because enough people didn't watch them. Rings of Power is in an interesting spot because of that billion-dollar investment was the guarantee that they could make 5 seasons of the show. But viewership continues to decline at an alarming rate. Well, why is that? This part is tricky to discuss because it falls into the territory of speculation. Many online would say it's because the show is woke, or perhaps it's not woke enough. There's not enough provable facts to prove that piece, though again, it's a useful piece of the puzzle worth discussing surely. Others may claim it's because the show does not follow the lore set by Tolkien properly. And that is very much part of the truth. The Rings of Power makes broad changes and additions to the world Tolkien set because it can and not because it should. Though again, there is not enough evidence to prove that that's a direct reason to low viewership. So I'd like to run this from the same angle of why The Acolyte didn't work. Rings of Power is loosely based on a fraction of Tolkien's work. Inside of the small piece of canon that Amazon bought the rights to make content of, they have decided to make a show that is a fan fiction of that work in order to extend a smaller story into 5 seasons worth of television. My friends, most of the content in Rings of Power is not from the books, but inspired by the books. And that content in and of itself is very boring. It's long, it's boring, it lingers, it's not engaging at all, it's not worth talking about, and again, like The Acolyte, it appeals only to a very niche audience of people who are chronically online and really don't have much else going on. Game of Thrones was massive because every 2 or 3 episodes had something wild happen. There was something to talk to your coworkers about every week after Game of Thrones aired. Where is that spectacle in Rings of Power? Where are the interesting things to speculate about with your friends? There are none, and that's because either we already know what's going to happen, exactly how it's going to happen, or because there's just nothing there to care about. Rings of Power has injected a wizard into the show in a time where there really shouldn't be one, according to the lore, and created a mystery box around the character about the wizard's true identity. Is the character Gandalf? Sure looks and sounds like Gandalf, no? But the books say Gandalf shouldn't be there yet. So perhaps the wizard is not Gandalf. Who knows the truth? And who cares? That mystery was interesting for a few episodes, but it's squandered by the end of season 1, and there's no real reason to give a damn about who it is. You've given the audience no reason to care about the resolution of the mystery box. That's the problem with mystery boxes. You need 2 things to make mystery boxes work. 1, the buy-in for the audience needs to be strong. They need to care. And 2, the payoff needs to be worth the mental commitment to care. If you don't stick the landing and satisfy the payoff, you've betrayed your audience and they'll never forgive you. J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, the showrunners for Rings of Power, are protégés of J.J. Abrams. Take a look at JJ's work portfolio to see how successful mystery boxes have truly been. When mystery boxes fail, and they do often, the audience becomes immediately bored. It's boring now because nothing matters. And if nothing matters, then there's no reason to care. And if there's no reason to care, they're bored, and there's no reason to keep watching. And there's much more than just the Gandalf storyline that's a problem. Each episode of the show has a runtime of a little over an hour. In that full hour of watch time, hardly anything happens. Each episode is characters going room to room, saying things in poetic ways, trying to sound like Tolkien, but sounding more like hacks that ask ChatGPT to write dialogue inspired by Tolkien. The characters are disinteresting and hard to root for, so you don't care about what happens to them. The motivations are fleeting, and as soon as characters identify what they're doing, the audience has trouble empathizing with the decisions made. Why are you doing that? Why are you going there? Why did you say that? I said a minute ago that this failed similarly to The Acolyte. The reason why is because there are 3 audiences, and any successful show must capture all 3 in some way. But there is one that is stronger than the other 2. On the left, you have the super shills, the people who will drink any slop any corporation makes, as long as it could be construed to identify with a handful of their personal beliefs. Just a handful, and it doesn't actually have to be true. That's the thing. If the super shills can make believe that their ideals are being met, they will buy in hands down. And on the right, you have angry, disgruntled, diehard fans who want things to be exactly a particular way, and that way needs to honor the legacies that have come before it. I often fall into that camp myself, I will admit, but only because everything in the legacies is significantly better than the uninspired crap writers create today. And in the middle, you'll find the big kahunas, the normies, the people who are never attached to any one franchise, the people who just need something to do with their family on the weekend and take their kids to the movies, the people who go to work and just work, then come home and put the TV on hoping to find something to pass the time before the alarm rings and the day begins for them to do it all again. They do not give a damn about the identity of not Gandalf. They find Galadriel's girl bossing insufferable, and they knew Halbrand was Sauron from the moment he appeared on screen. These are the 63%ers who stopped watching Season 1 and did not return for Season 2. Is wokeness a problem? Is discarding of lore the problem? Probably pieces of it, yes, but you want a more exact reason why they stopped coming back? They were bored. When you go a week to week to week and a normie has to say, what happened last week? Oh, did that happen? I don't remember. You're only one click of the remote button away from losing them forever. Game of Thrones worked because you had youth, adults, and grandmas around the dinner table and around the cooler at work trying to speculate about who Jon Snow was. No, they didn't watch the show together and certainly didn't all read the books. But they were given a reason to care about what happens to all the characters. I watch Rings of Power hoping that Morgoth will come back and just incinerate everyone, or that the Balrog in Moria pops out and starts eating the main cast like they're peanut M&Ms. Though I know none of that is going to happen. And so that brings us here. Amazon has signed a contract with the Tolkien estate to make 5 seasons of a show that less and less people watch each week because it wastes their time and they're bored. Here, episode 4 of season 2 injects a love triangle arc between Isildur, a legacy character, and 2 characters we know near nothing about and have never heard of till now. The second character in the love triangle hasn't even gotten more than 3 lines in the damn show. Amazon is producing a Lord of the Rings show with story beats out of Vampire Diaries and/or the Twilight books. These are feminine story plots that have been featured in female-focused television that was leagues better than anything the Rings of Power has brought to screens. Why is Rings of Power failing? Because it betrayed the legacy of one of the greatest pieces of fiction ever created, ever, of all time, and it also betrayed the audience who gave it a chance. My friends, I want to thank you for joining me for this Pondering special. If you would please, hit that like button. If you're new here, consider smashing that subscribe button so you get more videos just like this. And until next time, create, innovate, inspire. May the force be with you. And for the love of God, cancel Disney+. A lot of people comment saying, why am I not saying to cancel Amazon Prime? And the reason for that is I don't want to be a hypocrite. I use Amazon Prime myself. And so I will not say to cancel it when I myself am using it. But I will very much tell you to cancel Disney+. That is a pile of shit subscription service, and everybody should cancel it to really stick it to Disney. I will hopefully one day get rid of Amazon, and when that day comes and I can safely say myself to cancel it, I will also say to cancel Amazon Prime, but I refuse to be hypocritical in my message. So until next time, cancel Disney+. Bye-bye.